This is our 2018 Audi S4 Prestige Plus, and it is our sweepstakes car for this quarter. Head to throtl.com. Every dollar you spend buying performance parts, OE replacement, maintenance parts, or sweet merch is an entry to win this car plus $20,000 cash. Go to throtl.com, make your purchases. Good luck, guys.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Throtl YouTube channel. My name is Quinn, and today we're going to be working on our Mark IV Toyota Supra. In the last episode, we pulled the V160 out and showed you guys every component of our new 6XD sequential transmission setup that we're going to be putting in this car. One question you guys might have is why we're doing all this stuff, and there's a couple of reasons. The first reason is, I don't know if you've checked the price of V160 transmissions, but they're quite expensive for a 30-year-old used transmission, so we wanted to upgrade it. This thing is putting down a lot more power than those transmissions can really handle. Those transmissions could handle over 1,000 horsepower, but not when you're doing really hard first gear hits on a prep drag strip. But this is one of our most top tier builds, and what a perfect excuse to get a sequential transmission. I've never played with a sequential before. I've never set one up. I've never even driven a car with one. And I think that's the case for a lot of the people here in the Throtl shop. So what a perfect chance to use one of these. And it's gonna add a lot of performance benefits to the car. It's gonna allow us to utilize a lot more features on our haul tech. It's gonna allow us to do a lot of really cool things, such as flat foot shifting, wide open throttle shifting. Sequential transmissions like this are pretty unobtainium for most of us car guys. We only like dream of owning one. So I'm very excited to set one up, see what this whole sequential game is about, and bring you guys along for the journey. We have a lot of calculations to do. We got to center the bell housing, align it. We got to do some math for getting the slave cylinder set up. There's a lot of unknowns here, which is going to be a new learning experience for me, which is cool. So let's get into it. So I just took our old pilot bearing out. So that's the pilot bearing for the V160 transmission. That is the one we're going to be running for the new transmission setup. So a much bigger input shaft, at least on the end where the pilot bearing sits. So we're going to get this thing installed and then install our new flywheel. The dead center of this hole needs to be dead center in line with the crankshaft. This is a dial indicator, so this measures in thousandths. That swings up and down. So if we have something that sweep from 0 to 10, that's 10 thousandths of an inch. So this is gonna measure movement, and as we spin this around, it's gonna move. As you can tell, I'm not like good at centering it because it's all over the map, but usually we'll have like, I think our range is like about 4 to 5 thousandths is when we're in spec. So we need to get this mounted up.
Quinn, so what's your chicken scratch here?
So my chicken scratch is measuring our center point for this, and it is off. We were out of spec by about 5 thousandths, which is not good. So Mickey's gonna order some realignment dowels. So they're pretty much offset dowels that sit and center this. So we need to get those coming. We need to get those back on this. And once the alignment dowels, off-center alignment dowels are here, we're gonna do the measurements again, make sure everything's in spec, and then we'll keep on going. So, waiting for parts. This guy has arrived. These are a set of offset dowels. So instead of being perfectly straight, the top half is shifted about 4/1000ths of an inch off to the right. So we're gonna install these, we're gonna align them correctly and then remeasure our bell housing, and they should be spot on.
So how are these different from the dowels that were in there?
So the dowels that were in there are actually dead straight. So this has like a matte surface and then like a polished surface. So the polished surface is shifted in a direction about 4/1000ths of an inch different. So instead of coming straight up, it comes up and then it goes over and then it comes up. And depending on how we rotate this, depends on where it's going. So if I want both of these going up, I'll set the offset up and it'll move the bell housing up. Again, it's only moving up 4/1000ths of an inch, which is about roughly the thickness of a piece of paper, but I need to move it down and to the right. So we're gonna orient the offset kind of this way, and that's gonna shift the bell housing to where we need it to be, and then we're gonna remeasure. Here's our dowel. So I need a little screwdriver to twist that guy. They're both oriented in the way we need to, so we're gonna put the bell housing back on, get our dowel indicator back on there, and remeasure everything. We should be good this time.
That's crazy. I thought it was gonna be more than that.
No, yeah, it doesn't need to move a lot. So the reason they do that is because of this. This is your pilot bearing. So this is actually the front bearing of the transmission. So this is in the engine, but it's part of the transmission. Let's go over the transmission. So this is our beautiful sequential, and this is where the pilot bearing sits. So they actually sent us 2 pilot bearings. One came in our bell housing kit and one came with the transmission. So the pilot bearing goes right there. Now, this is actually what holds this end of this input shaft up. So it has a bearing here, then it has a bearing inside of the transmission. And it needs to be aligned properly. If it's out of alignment, it's gonna be putting stress on this shaft either this way or this way. In our case, it would have been up and to the right. And they measure that within thousandths of an inch. And it has a tolerance. So we can be off with about 5/1000ths of an inch. And right now we're off about 7/10 or I think we're off about 6/1000ths right now. So those alignment dowels are going to bring us into spec, and it's going to allow this to work. It's not going to put extra strain on the input shaft of the trans, which is what we want. We want this thing to last a good long time. So let's take our measurement. Okay, so here's our 180 mark. So this was the highest point of runout that we had here. So you mark it, set the indicator to 0 and move it 180 out. And we have about 2 thou of difference. So that divided by 2 is our runout of this, which is like 1,000th. Mm-hmm. Our max spec is like 5/1000ths. So we're like way in the zone now.
Nice.
That was perfect. So those dowels went from like 8/1000ths to like 1/1000ths. So sick. We're perfect. Everything's good. Now we can keep on jamming. So we're actually going to take this off. I actually want to put our transmission on. We can start measuring our drive shaft length. Get that out of the machine shop so they can start making our drive shaft, getting that balanced, and then we'll keep going with the clutch install. Now the next thing I need to get done, we need to put the transmission in. I have not installed the clutch yet. We're simply putting it in so I can measure our drive shaft length. So we have a yoke that came with the transmission kit, and because we're running a Ford 9-inch rear end, the drive shaft is not exactly going to be bolt-in, so we have to send ours out and have it modified. I need to get the length for that so I can send everything out to the drive shaft shop and they can start working on it. So we're going to put the transmission in without the clutch on, get it bolted down, take our measurement, get all of our components out to the shop, and then we will take this off and start installing our clutch. So we got our measurement. Our drive shaft is a little bit too long, so we're gonna have to send this out, get it shortened, and they're gonna replace this CV joint with a U-joint that'll fit on this. So we're gonna get a shorter shaft back with this on both ends, and that's gonna be about it. So we're gonna get this out to the shop. If they can start working on it, we'll have our drive shaft back shortly. So I got our first plate on our triple plate clutch on here. We've got spacer plates, which are gonna be going on, which is this guy here. And here is our second disc. This clutch is crazy because it's super small, but it's got a lot of surface area and the sintered iron discs are super strong. There's our clutch. There's our alignment tool. That thing looks freaking nuts, dude. That's crazy. All right, let's get this thing on the Supra. All right, brother Will. That thing looks tiny, huh? Holy crap.
Never complained before. Why is it so small?
Because it doesn't need to be big, because there's 3 plates. So the surface area
I was gonna say, it looks
ridiculous.
stacked.
It's not the size, Will, it's how you use it.
It's not the size, mate. It's how you use it.
I think it's gonna be crazy. It also cuts down on rotational mass like a lot. So this thing's gonna rev up and down like super fast. Next up, we're gonna get our master cylinder mounted. This actually bolts to the inside of the bell housing, which is pretty cool. But we need to put it on and then get it up in there. And then we need to check, we need to measure the distance between this and the front of the clutch, make sure we're within tolerance. And if we're not, we need to adjust this. And if we're good, then we can put lines on it and install the bell housing for the final time, which would be really cool. Our bell housing is on for the last time. We have a clutch. Everything is assembled and ready for the transmission to go on. And now we just gotta wrestle this thing in. I got Will here with me. We're gonna get this thing up on the Chady Jack, get it bolted to our engine. Let's go, baby.
They've seen this before.
Yeah, but we didn't have a clutch on it, so it was easier.
It's true.
Our drive shaft came back. Really fast turnaround from the shop we sent it to, which is really nice. So we're gonna get this in, make sure it is the correct length, make sure it works, and then we can keep going and set things like our clutch stop and a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's get this boy in, baby.
Get my help, Quinn?
Yeah.
Can't reach it, too bad.
I can't reach that.
Hey, look at Will, he's on his tippy toes.
Yep.
Everyone's on the tippy toes.
Oh, dude.
Mine.
That is almost perfect. Sick. So mechanically our sequential is completely installed. The last thing we need to do is fill it up with gear oil, put the exhaust back on, and then we'll need to tackle our wiring, and then we'll pretty much be done. So I'm gonna use Will. He's gonna hold all of my lines in place, and I'm gonna pump fluid in here until it's full, cap it off, and we'll put our exhaust back on and be done.
This is a tippy toe job.
Oh, you wanna come down?
You on his tippy toes again?
So this is a couple of connectors right here. This is reverse and neutral lockout, this black 2-pin plug. And then this is a gear sensor for whether it's in 1st through 6th, reverse or neutral. So I got this plug for the gear display. There's another one. Oh! But we have a tiny little slot right there that I don't think this big connector is gonna fit feeding up. So I'm gonna bring the car down and feed everything back in.
Boom, the wiring is done. We got everything mounted, everything set up. We got our button up here. We got our light in the dash. We got to put that back on, and then the GCU is mounted here. We also put the little tuning cable up under here. Pretty nice, and I actually sneaked one onto this pad. So this is going to be our Haltech plug-in. So we can actually, instead of unbearing the ECU from the carpet, we just plug in there. I'm going to get our interior back together because this doesn't really need to be out of the car anymore. Get our IC7 back in, we'll fire it up, and then we'll jump on the laptop and start calibrating all of our things. Everything's pretty much ready for us to plug into the laptop, so we have to calibrate the gear position sensor to our new GPU. So when it's going up and down through gears, how it knows what gear you're in is through the gear position sensor, and we need to calibrate that to let the transmission know which gear is which gear. Otherwise, it has no idea what gear we're in. We're gonna plug it in. I believe we have to set reverse and neutral as well as all of the forward gears. And then from there, it's gonna be ready to tune and pretty much ready to go on the dyno. So when we get on the dyno and start making passes, start making changes to the tune, one of the things we're gonna be tuning is the GCU along with the engines. But just for now, getting this synchronized is gonna allow us to drive the car around and move it, and everything should be good.
Does that mean we get to see this little indicator?
So that's exactly it. So we get to set what number is what on that.
You ready to see this little red light indicator?
Let's go. Dude.
It's blue, actually. Whoa, sick.
Whoop, wheels are spinning.
Just a second right now.
On the third?
We're just about finished up with the programming on the Sequential, so we're actually gonna put the racing seat back in because it's right here on the table. And then we're gonna get the car on the ground. Ricky has to finish our line lock button that we just got installed for this. And then we're gonna pull it outside and make it move under its own power and make sure that all the gears that need to work are working and that we can actually move the car. And we'll drive this thing, get to the dyno. Baby! Ooh, Sequential, let's go.
Seat's back in, and I'm sitting where I feel the most comfortable to drive the car. The shifter was placed here just randomly so we can get stuff going. And Quinn right now is getting some tools so we can adjust it closer to me so I can be more comfortable. And then from there, I'm going to be adapting the line lock button right in here.
Let me get a test shift.
You want me to do the Becky?
Yeah, really loud.
Beep, 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 beep. Does that sound like him or?
This is official right here.
What is?
That line lock?
Yeah. You hear it? Let go. Move up. And then when I do that, it's going to go like this. Wow!
So the next step for the Supra is actually to make sure all of our gears work, forward, reverse, and neutral, and then we're gonna head to the dyno. So let's see, the moment of truth right here. so we got first gear. Now we're in reverse. Let's see. Hey, we got reverse. Dude, that is gnarly. It feels really crisp too. This thing's gonna be freaking insane. Is that all the time we have, Sean? Is that all the time we have for this video? I think that's all the time we have for you guys for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please leave us a big thumbs up and subscribe. The next episode is Dyno Day. We are shooting for that 1,000 horsepower mark, and then it's time to test this thing at the racetrack. So I'm very excited.